The pandemic has changed the way we work. A lot of us are finding that we're now working from home. So for me, it's especially more challenging because my work favors in-person interaction. So as an Agilist, how do I promote face-to-face conversation in this online world? Well, today, I'm going to show you my work from home setup, and I'm going to talk through some of the things as to why I did it. Before we begin, if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. Now, this channel is dedicated to helping individuals in their Agile journey. I have content out on a weekly basis, so remember to subscribe if you have not, click the like button, also click on the bell so that you can get notified when I put out a new video. So why is this work from home setup important for Agilists like me? Well, let's talk about pre-pandemic. During pre-pandemic, when you go to work, when you go and meet your clients or your customers or your teams, do you think about how you look, what you wear? How are you going to represent yourself? Do you think about that? So now that we have to work from home, the video and audio replaces the physical form. So let's talk about video first. Pre-pandemic, this is how you would dress and how you would present yourself. So it's important how we come across on video. You don't need any fancy equipment, but you do need to understand how you want to use what you have. The key here is to make sure that you're coming across clear, visible, and presentable. So there are two components to this. One is your lighting. Two is composition. So for lighting, you don't need any fancy light. All you need is to make sure that the subject, you in this case, is lighted and visible and clear. So you want to sit in a place where there is a light shining towards you or lighting you, or where there's a window. We can use natural light for the example, or any light that just helps light you up. In my work from home setup, I use a key light, and this is a small light and it's fairly cheap, and I put it on a light stand and it sits behind my camera and it's pointed at me. So that helps make it so that I'm looking more visible and clear. The next thing is composition. Now, composition means how we look in terms of our background and how we are in terms of the whole screen, right? What those people see. So ideally, you want to make sure that we are talking to individuals. Basically, you're looking straight into the camera. Now, when we are working from home, we're constantly looking at the monitor because that's where the zoom is. That's where how we see our other participants, right? So when we do that, we got to make sure that ideally, as we look into the monitor, our eyes is about as close to the camera as we can get, about the same height. So normally, we have our laptop has its own camera, or in this instance, for me, I have a separate webcam that I put right above my laptop. Now this sits slightly above, it still looks like it is fairly eye level, so that when I'm looking on the screen and talking, it comes across like I'm talking to you. So in order to have your monitor or my laptop in this instance to be at what we call an eye level, I just have to find a way to prop it up. So in this instance, I am using what we call a dual arm. One of it is for a monitor and one is for my laptop. With this, I'm actually raising my laptop to a specific eye level height so that when I look at the screen, it looks like I'm talking directly at you. Now, one of the things that I found because of that setup is that when I am typing, this thing does shake because the table shake, therefore the whole laptop would shake. So that's one of the reasons why I got a webcam that is attached separately to a light stand instead of attaching to an arm to the table. So part of composition is the angle of the camera. Now, most often than not, because my laptop is not propped up, so in the past, I'm always looking down on the screen and the camera is pointing up at me. So you tend to see more of my nose than anything else. And to me, it looked kind of funny. The other thing that we could end up doing is also where we place the camera way too high and it's looking down at us. At that point, of course, then I'm looking down and the person looking at from the other angle will be looking at my head, my forehead, instead of my actual face. So it's important for me to have this, what we call a face-to-face, where I can see that I'm actually talking to somebody. One last thing about composition is the distance that you are from your camera. Being too far away is kind of looking like you're talking to somebody who are 20 feet away. So in order to make sure that we have a very what I consider personal and trustworthy conversation, I want to be able to make sure that I'm as close to the camera as possible. So now we talk about video. The next up is audio. So we're going to make sure that our sound that's coming through, making sure that it is clear so somebody can hear us and there are no interruptions, unwanted noise, or distortion. So ideally, you want to make sure that you have a headset on that has a mic. Now that is probably the best one to have. This is the one that I use right now. So overall, I have a pretty simple setup. I'm using a dual arm. One of it is for a monitor that I plan to purchase down the road, and one I use it for my laptop. Now, because the laptop is now propped up, I do have an external keyboard that I use on the table to make it a lot easier. I also have a webcam that is attached to a magic arm that is not attached to the table but to a light stand behind the camera. And then I have my light on top of the light stand and that's shining down onto me. Now that is my setup. Now this is what it looks like most of the time. Now ideally I want to get it to look like this. But unfortunately, because this is a work laptop, I'm unable to install the driver on my work laptop. So this is my current work from home setup. I'm going to put the links to all the equipment that I'm using down below. You can check it out. The price on it is fairly cheap. The whole goal that I want to make sure that I look good is to make sure that I continue to promote face-to-face conversation. So hopefully this helps you out. That's my thinking. What is your thoughts on work from home setup? What does yours look like? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe. Bye.